Book and a Bev. Hello everyone and welcome back to another episode of A Book and a Bev. We are your co-hosts, Bryony, Georgia and Ellie. And this week, are you ready? Are you all cozy on our magic carpet ride through Erilea? I don't know. Through the continent with Celaena and the gang. Well, prepare for a backslide. We're all backsliding into trauma. It's time for Assassin's Blade. I swear we're enthused. There's just dead silence like Sam Cortland.
Rest in peace.
All right. In the past, we've told you all that we don't deal with feelings. So prepare yourselves for this trauma fest. It's the Assassin's Blade, it's the prequel, it's providing the context, shenanigans, and everything we need for the road ahead. We shall not give any more away because spoilers, but this book is actually made up of 5 novellas that were published online before book 1 was published. And then later down the track, Sarah merged them into one big bad boy called The Assassin's Blade. So that's why we're here. We're reading this one, and I'm excited to cry.
I am not.
On that note, what are we drinking, ladies?
Well, I'm drinking an excessive amount of wine tonight for no other reason than I miss Rowan.
Look, that's fair enough.
Yeah.
It's been 2 weeks and it's just hard, you know.
It's been a long 2 weeks. It's very dry now.
Oh, that's unfortunate. So, my drink is called Sam Cortland.
Oh.
And that's because it's a Jack and Coke, which I've put red dye in. So I basically made it very, very strong, meaning that it'll hook me in right off the bat. It'll give me the nice taste of the bourbon and the cola, and then it will destroy me at the end, and I'll be left red and bloody, just like Sam.
Oh my God. What is wrong with you?
I love it so much. Well, I am also drinking a Jack and Coke as my base drink, but I've decided that I'm going to basically take a shot or a swig of Fireball every novella because suffering.
Okay. It's at this point I'd like to remind you of the last time Fireball was consumed.
Oh, no. We don't need to mention that every episode, but I feel like we do.
Look, I drank Fireball for both Air of Fire episodes, and I think I did pretty okay. I wasn't too sloshed.
It was last week. That was Bryony's week. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, last week was Bryony's week. Yeah,
Bryony was well
time.
sloshed. Anyways, general vibes for the book, ladies.
Well, SJM just has a way of linking shit that makes my mind explode. It's incredibly satisfying, especially when you realise that she didn't just write Throne of Glass and then have a few of these like off-the-cuff remarks and then she wrote the context later to fit in with the storyline. Like, you know, with Pretty Little Liars, how we had to find out who A was, but they clearly hadn't written in who A was.
They had no idea.
No.
None.
SJM has planned this shit, and it is a masterpiece. I won't lie. This book is probably my least preferred in the series at the moment, but I still really enjoyed it. Every novella hooked me right in, and it was so good to see the character development of Celaena, seeing where she started as like a little brat, and then she just blossomed. There probably could have been a touch more editing. It did frustrate me that each new part recapped information that we already had learnt in the earlier sections, especially considering we had just read the other 3 books. But I'm sure all of our listeners probably think the same about our episodes, so who am I to complain? I wasn't actually like entirely invested in Celaena and Sam's relationship. It was just puppy love. It was sweet. He's not Rowan, but his death hit me hard. Harder than I was anticipating. I am a heartless shrew. We all know this. My soul is black, and yet when she laid down on that bed next to him and
this is why me and Bryony were like begging you for updates. We're like, Ellie, give us updates.
It just, it broke me. It broke me. I was like, no, but they hadn't even started their lives together yet. Now he's dead and his fingers are all backwards. Oh, she didn't get to taste the pain.
Absolutely no pain.
No.
So they're my thoughts. I'm so excited for the next book, though. Just give me back Rowan.
Yes, I'm very excited.
Yeah, I'm really excited.
Hey, guys, your awkward, uncomfortable silence has made me terrified for my well-being.
Again, I'm so proud of us for not giving anything away because this is so fucking hard.
For those who are like playing along at home, I have 40, not even 35 pages left now of Empire of Storms. And if you know, you fucking know. All right?
How do you not know? And I'm scared.
But you will.
George is just doing like a death finger pointer out the camera. Yeah.
Jesus.
Well, oi boy, SJM, what the fuck are you doing to us? Putting all these little traumas just out here in the world while we're just minding our own business, but that's fine. And I definitely get where you're coming from, Ellie. This book is necessary for what's to come. So I don't want to hear a peep out of all the psychos on the internet who are like, oh, could you just not read that one? Or I skipped Assassin's Blade. And the same goes for fucking Tower of Dawn. If any of you bitches tried to skip those books, fuck right off. If you're reading a series, you read a series. But anyways, it is I have thoughts, I have opinions, I will
feelings.
I have feelings.
Passionate. You hear that, bitches?
Yeah.
Bitches.
I do agree. It's definitely it's not one of the strongest books of the series. It's needed, but it's definitely get where you're coming from. I love all the little breadcrumbs that we get into who Celaena is and how she came to be that. And I mean, one sentence to sum up everything: I will not be afraid.
Oh. Now I understand the significance of that, and it just cuts me up.
It does. I'm just sitting here rubbing my chest, being like it's somehow going to hurt less.
It doesn't.
It doesn't.
It doesn't.
I just want to die. That's it. I have no other words, and I'm going to keep my little tidbit here very short and sweet because I love these mini stories. I love how they give you the backstory of Celaena, who she is, what she's done to get where she is, the strength that she's had to overcome, everything that she's been through. I love it. And they each hold a very special part in summarizing the person that she is right at this moment. Well, when you get back to the main story, where she is right now. And it just fucking destroyed me. As you can tell, ripped my soul out of my body, stomped on it, pissed on it, shot on it. Just,
oh my God.
Fucked it up.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
For this book, just for something different, this book is split into 5 parts. So we've got the assassin and the pirate lord, the assassin and the healer, the assassin and the desert, the assassin and the underworld, and the assassin and the empire. So what we're going to do is between the 3 of us, we're splitting that. So our darling Ellie is going to steer the ship, if you will, with the pirate lord and the healer.
See what you did there?
I made a pun. I made a pirate joke.
You did. You made a pirate joke.
Just went right over my head. What did you say?
She's going to steer the ship like a pirate ship.
Right, she's with us now.
I just wanted the validation for that, guys.
I gave it to you. I gave it to
Ellie.
you.
Ellie had my back there. I'm not looking at you, Georgia, for a while. I'm going to cover the desert. Georgia is going to be doing the underworld and the empire. And on that note, Ellie.
All right. Hi, and welcome to my TED Talk.
Oh, dear God.
Okay. It's 4 a.m. and Celaena has just been awoken. 5 out of the 7 of Arab and Hamel's most trusted companions have been dragged out of bed, and they're all just sitting there waiting for him because, of course, the important guy isn't there. He's the one that's called the meeting, and yet, he's not there.
Yeah, fashionably late, as you would put it.
Just fucking men, really. Celaena is the only female, and she is 16. Now, let me paint you a picture of what 16-year-old Ellie looked like at this point in time. She had braces. She had not yet discovered fake tan or makeup. I looked like Bambi on ice. I was that long and gangly. Look, I hadn't grown into myself yet, and I did not yet have silicone in my body. It was the time.
Oh, God.
Bryony just took a shot of Fireball for everyone
Yes,
that's
she
wondering.
did. Yes.
And then it was exactly as you said, you didn't have silicon in you.
I didn't. Anywho, Celaena, opposite. Complete and total. Like, picture me, opposite. Just the opposite. She can swim. She can ride a bike. She's ticking all these boxes.
He can swim. She doesn't have to starfish.
She doesn't. She's quite a strong swimmer.
For those that might not have listened to some of our other episodes, Ellie cannot, in fact, swim.
No.
And we've had multiple jokes about the fact that she will just lay there as a starfish and float.
Which is not unlike the way I receive sex. Just
Oh, my God.
like a dormouse.
Like a dog.
I don't know why I said mouse.
Like
it's not really.
Sam Cortland on the table.
That would be necrophilia. We do not fuck dead people. Okay.
I'm just sitting here in ashamed silence. I'm not supporting your choices right now.
It's
That's
fine.
fine. I'm still not talking to you.
Okay, right. She's 16. She's beautiful. We have a quote. Her beauty was a weapon, one she kept honed, but it could also be a vulnerability because she's a woman. And, you know, we're in a vulnerable position because men are pieces of shit. One of the assassins have been captured, and Celaena's suggestion is, well, like, if he's been captured and we can't rescue him, then he's just going to yeet himself from the chat because not ideal. Sam, our dear Sam, one of the other assassins, is appalled by this notion. And we get a little backstory that they're not the greatest fans of each other. They've known each other since they were kids, and they've basically been competing for as long as they've known each other. The great setup of a love story. It's fun.
Enemies. Enemies to lovers.
But it turns out, in actual fact, that another one of their members, his name is Benjamin, has also deceased. And that's not great. He yeeted, not voluntarily. And people are quite upset because Ben seems like he's a reasonable chap. Everyone likes Ben. He seems quite lovely. We never get to meet him. As I said, he's dead. So Celaena and Sam end up getting into a brawl over the fact that they didn't retrieve Ben's body, which is, you know, part of what happens when you're in a team. Not that it's a team of assassins, it's, you know, the order of assassins, but they're in a team.
I can't say that if either of you died out on, like, some battlefield that I would go out and grab your bloody corpse and drag it back over. I think I'd just be like, look, it's been great knowing you. Good luck.
I'm just going to find some other friends to do the podcast with now.
I'm just imagining you trying to drag it, and you're like, fuck, Bronny, I told you to stop eating all those sour bears at work. Jesus Christ.
We're like dragging it, and I'm like, damn, that's silicon!
Oh, dear. Yeah, look, we're friends, but we're not that friends.
And plus, at the end of the day, Rowan is a bird, and birds eat dead people, so I would just let you sit there and get eaten by Rowan.
You're like,
and I would
you
thank
couldn't
you
get
for
eaten
that.
out, but you can be eaten.
But you can be eaten by a bird,
Live
which we know
within
you'd
him.
want.
Oh. You'd want to go.
That is it. Thank you. No, you know what? You're looking after my best interests. Thank
This
you.
is what friends are for.
Yeah. Yeah, it really
I know what
is.
you would
Well,
want.
anyway,
They're like, the hawk comes down, and I'm like, no, everyone shut up.
leave him.
Let it happen. Let it happen.
Let it happen.
You're like still
Rowan.
alive, and I'm like, no, let it go, let it happen.
They need
Sorry.
to be picked.
I'll shut the fuck up now.
So Celaena and Sam get into an entanglement over the fact that they didn't retrieve Ben's body because that is the done thing in the assassin brethren. Yeah. It was apparently too dangerous. It's not ideal. Things are going to happen. People are scared. So Celaena is like, no wuzzers. I'll do it myself, boys.
No wuzzers.
She trots.
Ellie saying no wuzzers is just beautiful.
Prime content.
You're welcome. We've jumped into chapter 2 now. We're 2 months in. We've moved on. We're in a different place. We're with the sea and beaches now. And Celaena and Sam are meeting with Captain Jack Sparrow, a.k.a. the Pirate Lord, with manky tattoos, a.k.a. Rolf. It's fucking hot and humid and smells like pirate BO, and our girl is channeling the COVID times and is fully masked up. We do learn that this is because no one can know who she is and what her face looks like, because if they realise that Adelin's assassin was a girl, all the white old men might get just a little bit uncomfortable and start gaslighting.
Fucking bitches.
Absolute
Yeah.
bitches.
Celaena just makes herself at home in Rolf's office and just starts snooping around and poking in some cupboards, looking at his whiskey collection, while Sam is essentially having heart palpitations watching her because he's like, just sit the fuck down and stop touching things, please. Of course, Rolf then appears. And you know what? Let's just say it. He sounds pretty hot.
I'd fuck him. Just straight off the bat.
After a shower...
I could
Yes.
keep the mask on
I
because
feel
I
like
am
it's-
the main character.
Well, Celaena thinks that they have been sent to punish Rolf for the death of 2 assassins, when in reality, Arabin is getting in on the slave trade. Not a good time. Not ideal.
No.
So neither Sam or Celaena are happy about this, slave business. But if we're being honest, in this first chapter, Celaena was truly just a petulant teenager. I really didn't like her in this first part of the book, and I think that's very intentional, because then you can see how, her character developed. She was, how Ansel was like, you're just a spoiled brat. In this book, in this part of the book, she really was.
She really was.
And I didn't get the connection between her and Sam at all here. They really just bicker all the time, like children. And I know you get the whole thing, like, he only picks on you because he likes you.
Ew, no.
I didn't really get that vibe. And especially when he's like, I've been in love with you for years. I'm like, well, you literally said that I'd kill you. But anyway, I also like Rowan, and he punched us in the face. So
Potato.
yeah,
Semantics.
exactly right. So although I too would be an asshole if I was in Celaena's position, where I could not eat a meal because I had to wear a fucking mask on the occasion every night. And she's just
that'd be
sitting there
fucked.
watching everyone else hoe into their potatoes, and she's like, well, fuck.
Not the potato.
We all know how I feel about a potato, and it's not a good time.
Shout out to all the different types of potato.
Especially vodka.
Kettle Smiths.
Baked, mashed, roasted. So, we now learn that Rolf made a deal to get a magic map tattoo on his skin. However, it does not work anymore because magic is gone, and, well, that seems like a pretty shit deal. Rolf says that he came to power by killing everyone who was better than him. Turns out that Sam wasn't the one she had to be worried about. That's okay.
No. Sam is going to die.
Oh, thanks for that reminder.
Thanks for that, Gog.
That night in bed, not in bed together, but he's in bed and
Unfortunately.
she's on watch. They're separate. Sam says he would be a fool to try and kill her because he's sort of like, I heard what Rolf said, but don't worry. I'd be a bit silly if I tried to knock you off. Which is our first not quite romantic moment, but like it's less of the whole you annoy me to the point that I'd prefer you not to exist. So progress. It's progress.
I feel like Aiden annoys me to the point where I would like to die sometimes, so I do see it.
Oh my god.
Quite deeply. Anywho, Celaena can't fall asleep as she keeps thinking of the slaves, which that's how we know she's nice, because she cares about poor people.
She cares about the peasants.
She decides that there is no way she is bringing slaves to Rifthold and will instead use the next 2 days to figure out a way to free them all. She goes to Rolf and asks him a bunch of questions under the guise of preparing herself for Arabin slaves and ensuring their quality, because we can only have the finest man peasants.
The best quality of captured and indentured humans.
I
This
do
sounds
really
fucked.
like the reference to manservant throughout the book. There's just manservant is just scattered on in there, and I'm like, I like that. I
Plopped
want
in
one.
there.
I want one.
Ellie is
The
in
plot.
fact a dom. I'm currently reading a book where the female is the dom and the male is the sub, and he just got a butt plug in his butt.
I mean, where else would you put it?
Oh, see, that would be me on vodka.
Note to self, don't take a butt plug if Ellie gives it to you after you've had vodka, because she will fuck up your night.
She will fuck up your night and fuck up your anus.
She will. She will, but she will preserve your rectal tissue by not putting any appropriate oils.
That was good.
All right, we're moving on. So, yep, slaves are good quality. Fantastic. The reason why she's doing this isn't really because she wants to know how, qual they are. It's because she's scheming. I said
She's
qual.
scheming.
I'm not sure if qual fits. Right, we're getting sidetracked.
Anyways.
Quality. Qual. We're there. Sam is picking up on her sus vibes, so she ends up pretending she is attracted to Rolf. We get this quote. He gave her a look so scathing it could have turned her to ash.
Ooh.
He's a jealous Jamie. So Sam says that he is sick of how she acts in the mask, but obviously Celaena doesn't really take that to heart and she just traipses on off into the sunset.
Yeah.
We don't really care about people's feelings in this part of the book, okay?
Absolutely not.
No. Irrelevant. Rolf appears then to take them to inspect the slaves. And Sam is there and he's just playing along with the whole thing. And Rolf takes them to a warehouse which is packed with cell after cell of women and men and children. And it's like, just picture a cattle truck, but instead of chickens, it's stinky people. Basically the same.
No.
Jesus.
Oh, God.
Do you remember when that
No.
truck crashed on the freeway full of the chickens?
Yeah.
And there was just feathers everywhere.
Everywhere.
Oh,
I love
dear.
that's Australian culture, is that, there was a guy that had a truckload of chickens and that went wrong. America is like, remember when there was this human trafficking and there was that truck found in the middle of nowhere with the back full of just dead people?
Dead
Remember
humans?
that?
Yeah. No, ours
like
is just
dead.
chickens.
Chickens.
Just
Yeah.
chickens. Just fried chicken. That's it.
It wasn't, I mean, it could have been depending on the heat of the day, but
Okay. So Celaena nearly takes out her sword, but Sam grabs her hand to stop her because she's seen these chicken people and she's like, this is fucked up.
The chicken people. Oh, God.
We're rolling
really?
with it. Sorry. Through the discussions with Rolf, we discover that Ardalan is buying slaves and sometimes sending them straight to their mines, aka Endovia.
look, we start the book with a reference to Endovia, and when you know, that's where we end.
That's where we end. Whips and chains
Oh.
excite me. Here we go.
Oh, not Rihanna.
That should be the music reference. No, it shouldn't. This is sad, okay? Everyone get serious for a second. This is sad. The children are not always kept with their families, and sometimes they are purchased as help or by madams to be tiny little whores. And that's not fun. No one needs a tiny whore.
No one needs a tiny whore.
It's just not necessary. Okay. Well, turns out that Sam is a very sensitive sausage when it comes to madams, as his mother had been one such tiny whore and had been sold to a brothel at the age of 8 and was killed by a jealous client. See, look, it has to stay in now because I'm picking it up and I'm throwing it. Sex work is an incredibly important and empowering industry, and this has nothing to discredit that, okay? We support your choices.
We just can't help it. We just make jokes about literally everything. So I'm
We
sorry.
are disturbed human beings, especially me. But that's fine.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I second that.
All right, keep going.
Okay,
We've got to
moving
keep
on.
going.
Celaena leaves and storms off to a deserted beach, but Sam just treks on after her, and they end up tussling in the shallow water, which is kind of hot.
Yeah.
They're clothed, the mask is off. It's a good time. We're not dry humping yet, but that's where my brain's gone, so just leave me be.
I think the
God.
beaches in Skulls Bay are just a steamy location to be.
Mm.
So it just seems like the vibe.
It does, doesn't it? And they know how each other's moves, what their next move is, so they're
Yeah.
just anticipating things. And
Yeah.
they've trained and learnt together forever.
Absolutely.
They've trained together. They are been together. And now they should fuck together.
But they
And
won't,
yet they
'cause
will
he's
not.
dead. Trauma.
No,
Anyway.
not with this one.
That's alright. She fucks Kale though, so all's
She does.
well that ends well. Not really, because he's a.
No, it didn't end well for that, did
It did not end well. It did not. Okay. The only thing that stops her is the pain and sorrow in Sam's voice when he asks her to please stop, which she understands consent. Consent is key. She's
Consent's
picked
key.
up on the vibe. He has asked her to stop and she's like, I shall. Celaena ends up telling Sam of her plan to free the slaves, with or without his help. He asks her why, and she says that they have a choice now. Maybe not when Arabin first took them in, when they were kids, but they now have a choice to help the chicken people.
Oh,
There's a quote.
God.
Sam says, "You realize this is the most reckless thing you've ever done, right?" And Celaena says, "Reckless, but maybe the most meaningful too." Beautiful.
Oh.
And then Sam stared at her long enough for the heat to flood her cheeks, as if he could see right inside of her, see everything. The fact that he didn't turn away from whatever he saw made her blood thrum in her veins. He agrees to help her and eventually goes back to the room, and Celaena just walks along the beach until a cold breeze hits her. She looks north. I don't know where north is. She's like, never eat soggy Weet-Bix. North.
Another Australian never eats soggy Weet-Bix.
She's found it. She's on the right path. She walks towards the source of the cold breeze, which we all know is Terracin because she is the fucking queen. Anyway, Sam and Celaena end up walking through Skulls Bay the next day under the guise of shopping, but really they're going over their plans. They meet Arabin's chicken people and find out that there will be another ship of chicken people going out at the same time. So we've got a plan. We're hatching plans. No one notices that night when two rowboats make their way to the two ships of chicken people. Celaena and Sam infiltrate each ship and knock out the guards. Celaena then goes to find the captain, looks him square in the face and says to him, "I am the captain now." Celaena gets one of the slaves to translate to the others the plan to get them out, and then says to him, "Okay, off you trot, paddle your way to the next boat unseen by the giant watchtower, watching everyone's every single move. I'm unsure of your swimming and rowing capabilities, but, you know,
You'll be right.
Off you go. You'll be
Sort
fine."
yourself.
So Sam and Celaena leave to go and make the distraction. What the fuck are you doing?
Ellie's
dear
like, there's
God.
too much to unpack there. Okay.
Please
And I'm the
continue.
weird one. Okay. So
FYI, in case that gets left in the edit, oh god, there it goes. Georgia and I are balancing the book in our heads. It's fine.
it's weird, but it's fine. So, said distraction, let's get shit-faced. That's Operation Distraction. They're in the pub, and
This
Sam
is, in
is
fact, the
pretending
distraction is just me and Bryony.
We're just
walking
in
around
the
with
bar.
books on their heads. Oh,
Georgia's
dear
just
God.
over there like a little elegant lady, and I'm just like, haha, I cannot.
I have not even tried. Okay.
All right, we
So-
can do this.
Can we though? They're in the pub, and Sam is pretending to be drunk as they are enjoying the party they had thrown. The night is passing, and occasionally Celaena finds herself leaning into Sam's shoulder or Sam's arm around her waist, and those little moments just, I adore them. That it's just the little things, you know, like helping her free the chicken people. Like,
Oh, God.
beautiful.
Cancelled for the chicken people.
We might. You might need to bleep that, but here we go. Then they start a pub brawl. The brawl even goes, I thought that said crawl initially, so it's like, yeah, they just go down the main street.
pub
of
crawl.
Pirate
Fuck it
World.
up.
Yeah. They do not. They start a pub brawl. The brawl even goes out into the street, and at one stage, Rolf shouts, "Enough," and all the drunken idiots look at him, salute, and then just continue fighting, which I quite
So
enjoy that.
that's
I feel
what
like
would
that's-
happen if
I
me and
really-
Bryony were sitting at a table and you were like
Uh-huh.
off in the corner and then someone starts on you and we're like, "Ellie, don't!" And you just turn around, you're like, and then you just dive back in.
Yeah.
Especially
That
when she's on
tracks, that
vodka.
tracks. Yeah. Well, Celaena and Sam make out. Make out. They do. They're just under the table, groping each other. No. Celaena and Sam make it out and are off on their adventure to save slaves. The distraction is now in full swing, except Rolf is here, which this is what I didn't enjoy. You know, the supposed greatest assassin in the country, and yet her plan and her execution was terrible. As if Rolf wasn't going to see her literally trip someone over right in front of him. She just gets caught too easily in this first bit, and I did not enjoy it. But anyway, that's
She's
neither
got
here nor
much
there.
to learn. Much to
She
learn.
does. She wouldn't get caught now, although I feel like she might, given the way you two were speaking about trauma.
Keep going.
Okay. Look at them sitting there stoically with their books on their head. Rolf unfortunately then sees the slave boats beginning to do things they shouldn't. And so, as a distraction, Celaena rips off her mask and goes, "Grandmummy, it's me.
It's me, Anastasia.
It's me, a girl, a 16-year-old, and Rolf is like, I am distressed by this news. I knew you were a young girl, but seeing your face and clearly identifying you as a preteen has disturbed me. So with that, Sam runs for the ships, but Celaena ends up in a duel with Rolf. She's able to knock him out. So essentially this is like big chain that stops the ships from leaving.
It's quite common, like, in that time period, that during, like, in coves, you would have a chain. It's, like, both a security measure to keep people out and to keep people in.
So we need to break this giant fuck-off chain. It's like the giant fuck-off spiders, but chain form, and we need to break it. She watches him run up the spiral tower, fighting off pirates as he's running. It has to be a spiral tower because theatrical movement of him fighting pirates.
Yeah, it's not just like...
While simultaneously spiraling.
It's like a disco, but with swords.
He's actually just on rollerblades the entire time. He's like, woo!
It's beautiful. So she realises that, oh shit, they're not going to make it. These little slaves that we sent our little slave friend to frantically row to the other boat, and they're all just going to fucking die. And, like, he just risked his life for nothing. And that is until Sam has gone, you know what? I'm going to throw a rock. Not a rock, not myself.
Just a pebble.
Just a pebble. I always throw a rock.
Just skims the rock.
One rock.
And then it hits the slave in the head.
Why is he fucking up the slave?
And he's thinking he's helping the slave. He's like, go, Pebble, go! And then there's one hope. And he's dead. No. Anyway.
So Sam, in fact, doesn't skim a pebble. No, he throws himself into the catapult chair and decides to take out the tower holding the chain. And it does work. So the slaves are free. Huzzah. But in the process, it takes out a part of the tower that Sam was in. Not so great. Before Celaena can make it to Sam, Rolf has a knife at her throat, which again, you're the world's best assassin, and yet here you are in another position of vulnerability. But, you know, you do you. Celaena is then able to fight her way out of Rolf's grip, because of course she can, and put his own knife on his own throat. So now I'm like, yes, this is the Celaena I like. Yes. She pulls the, reverse on him. Things are fine. She does the whole, what's in my breast pocket, and pulls out 2 documents.
What's in my breast? Silicon.
What's in the breast?
What are my breasts? It's raining.
It's like, what are these? It's like, oh God,
Jesus. No, it's in fact not that. It's documents. It's documents. Yeah. And one is a letter to Arabin from Rolf that the deal is off, and that Rolf will take action against Arabin if he tries to sell slaves. And the second letter is Rolf promising to never, ever, ever get back together
with the slave trade.
With the slave trade, essentially. And that Skulls Bay is now a safe haven for said slaves. Which is like, look at you. She saw the problem and she was like, you know what? I'm going to go 3 steps ahead because these slaves need a friendly home and pirates. Here you go.
Yeah.
Be free.
Friends
forever. So Celaena then scares the shit out of him, essentially, to make him sign everything. Then she knocks him out and goes to look for Sam, who we think is dead. She's pulling out debris, screaming Sam's name when he appears behind her. And it's a beautiful moment. They hug each other, and something has now changed between them. She can feel his penis stiffening against her, and she's like, oh, this is new, this is different. They decide to go home. It's lovely, but it's also a bit meh. This first part of the book, whilst interesting, it's an interesting piece of string. Honestly, this first part of the book, whilst interesting, doesn't have anything on the last 3 parts.
You're not wrong.
But alas, here we are. Yeah. Now we're going to go meet a girl called Irene, yet it's spelt with a Y, which is just unnecessary and confusing.
Yeah, my brain thought it was Urine.
No,
Irene.
It's Irene.
But it's Irene. Come on, Irene.
Irene Towers. She is in fact just a strange young woman in the White Pig Inn.
What a fantastic name for an establishment.
There are many white pigs, and they all should go in a single inn.
They should all, in fact, go in that inn.
Irene works at the White Pig Inn, and she's noticed someone within the establishment, heavily armed, wearing black. And Irene is like, you, my friend, are incredibly interesting. She is not wrong. The strange young woman in question is none other than our MC, Celaena Saradothian. She has been sent on a journey as punishment for what she did in Skulls Bay. We find out that her face is looking like a bashed crab from the beating that Arabin gave her.
Not a bashed crab.
A bashed crab. She believes it was worth it to save the slaves. She is being sent to train in the Red Desert with the Mute Master, Eminem, as he shall now be known, because I'm just picturing him as Eminem, and his silent assassins. But really, she is just tempted to run away at this point because she has been getting into fistfights to try and feel like herself, and it's just not really working, and she probably needs some therapy. Not a good time. We then get some information on Irene, who clearly must become a character later within the book, otherwise why else is she worthy of a backstory? Silence. Okay. Anywho, her mother was killed for having magic before magic disappeared. Ardalan guards burned her mother alive for her gifts, and Irene had to smell it, which is gross. So after that, she had stayed with family, but ended up taking her savings and tried to get to the southern continent to train as a healer like her mum. Unfortunately, she couldn't afford it and has been working at the White Pig Inn ever since, trying to save up enough to leave. And haven't we all been there in a job we fucking despise, but we have to stay there?
Isn't that funny?
Anyway, in Celaena's point of view again, Celaena is thinking of how to start a fight, but she hears Sam's voice in her head trying to talk her down. She imagines running away and inviting Sam to join her. All in all, she keeps trying to distract herself from the itch to run away. And at this point, I'm sort of like, you're force-feeding me, Sam. At this point, we've just hugged once and conspired to free slaves. I haven't got that connection with him yet.
Got to think that she is a 16-year-old girl going through all of this, and this is the first man, like boy, that is around her age that has shown like that kind of, well, not even, but like given her that kind of attention like that, you know?
Like the only other person she's had a crush on is Ben, that guy that died in chapter 1, and that was like, he was drastically too old for her, and it was just like a silly thing. She's never been able to have those normal kind of hormonal teenage feelings.
Yes.
So I think that's why it's piling on to us so hard, because that's how her brain is being like, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god.
It's young love, very true. It's first love, it's pain.
That is very true, because when I think about it, at 16, my only love interest was Jensen Ackles, and well...
Fair.
Oh, fair enough too. Fuck, that man could smite any demon up inside me, in and around me.
Smite, specifically.
With his mighty pain. Irene is now taking out the trash when she still feels like something is very wrong. And we've all had that gut feeling where we're by ourselves and something just feels off. All of a sudden, some mercenaries who tried to grope her earlier are there, and she tries to run, but they're too fast. Before they can do any damage, one disappears into the mist.
I fucking adore this scene, by the way. Like Irene is obviously in peril. Things are not looking great. And then it's just like one is just yanked back into the mist.
Then another one disappears, also into the same mist. It's very misty this night. It must be
DJ
quite...
Khaled.
What? What does DJ Khaled have anything? Another one. Okay. I'm like, what does he have to do with mist? Has he got a smoke machine or something that I'm not aware of?
He probably does.
Oh, dear. Then Celaena appears. Swords dripping in blood. Very, very hot.
We're all turned on.
Irene really didn't... Irene is as well. She's like, hello.
Whoa.
Hello, darkness, my old friend.
Hello, hi, nice to meet you again. No, turns out she really didn't need to worry about Celaena back in that pub when there were those weird guys in there.
Nope.
As she takes out the rest of the men one by one, but one survives and runs off because he's a fucking little tattletale, but we'll get to him later. Irene ends up offering to bind a cut on Celaena's arm, and Celaena is frustrated with Irene. She is nervous and stammering and apologising, and Celaena essentially victim blames her.
Yeah.
Which is not a good thing to do, Celaena.
No.
Check yourself.
But it's also very relatable of what I felt like I was like at that age. Like, I was trying to be such a tough girl that any girl not in the same situation as me, I was like, well, that's on you because you're not doing everything you need to do. And it's just something that you have at that age, I feel.
Yeah, 16-year-olds are cunts.
Yeah.
Just Just to put it out there.
Absolute cunt.
So Irene pulls herself together and impresses Celaena enough that Celaena follows Irene in to get her arm fixed because
Get her ass fixed.
she's like, you know what? My anus is quite sore after that
Those
beating.
5 men in that alleyway tore it in two, so I'm going to get it fixed.
It needs a couple of stitches thrown on in there. And look, I feel her pain. I too have had stitches.
Oh,
In your
that region.
arsehole,
I thought
specifically.
you were talking about having the 5 men in your arsehole, and I was like,
I have not had a singular man in my arsehole, but I'll let you know if 5 do encounter it.
Just the shitting outcome is really unfortunate.
oh.
I didn't think about that. This is making me not want to do it even more. Right, her arm is getting fixed, not her anus. Again, Celaena wasn't my favourite throughout this part. She made some good choices, but she was still a bit of a dick. Celaena then takes her hood off while Irene cares for her arm, and Irene is like, well, you look fucked up. And they begin talking, and Celaena gives Irene some advice, such as, life isn't easy, no matter where you are. You'll make choices you think are right and then suffer for them. But in summary, you might as well be miserable in a nice location. That's depressing.
It is, but it's also very true.
Irene ends up saying that she wants to train as a healer, but ultimately wants to come back to Ardalan to help people, despite the danger. Because there's danger everywhere, because
There
men
is.
exist.
Yep.
Celaena is moved enough that she offers to teach the girl self-defense. Because imagine if she's like, nah, I just want to be a healer and maybe stay in that other continent where there's not a dickhead Vladimir Putin ruling
Which is a
the
fair
continent.
and reasonable thing to
Mhm.
be like, you know what, this place fucked me over. I don't want to come back.
No. And imagine if Selena's like, you're not worthy of my training then. Good
Yeah.
day.
Good day, sir. Good day to you
Good
and your
day, sir.
horse.
And your cow. Fuck on off. There's a horse, there's chickens, there's a cow. We've got the whole menagerie on the farm here. Old MacDonald who. She then teaches Irene that most men want a victim who looks like they won't pick a fight and that they will try to move them to a location where they won't be interrupted. She teaches her to shout fire and not rape or theft because cowards hide from that.
Yeah,
Which-
that's great.
This is
literally-
applicable in everyday life.
Mm-hmm. Take notes.
Yeah.
Take notes. If you are being, like, if someone's creeping you out and if someone comes up to you, rather than screaming out help, you scream out fire. Because people will run.
For the first
It's not funny. It's not funny. And yet we have
Georgia is
laughter.
When you first said shout fire, I thought you said shit fire. And I was holding that in that entire time.
You just shit fire. You eat a vindaloo and then you drop that.
I'm sorry, it's not funny. I'm just laughing because I thought she said shit like poo out your bum, not
You don't, no verbal poo. You literally just say
fire.
fire and
Yeah.
people will come running to help you.
Take
okay?
note.
Also, hold your keys in your hand, aim for the eyes and for the groin. You're welcome. Ellie's self-defense lessons have now ceased. Moving on. So Celaena, she begins to teach some moves and that are destined to give Irene a window to run. It's really just dance moves, interpretive dance, just to scare people away. They're the movements. And they learn them until it's nearly dawn. And essentially teaching Irene these contemplative interpretive dance moves helps Celaena find herself again. She's like, these movements have awakened my soul. She's here.
I would like to note that for all of our video people, we are doing the dance moves.
Okay. But then they get her interrupted. So they're dancing and then it's like, men. 5 men are blocking them in the alleyway with their dicks. And of course,
Not
they're just gonna-
5 men in her ass. they're hypnotising them with their giant horse cocks.
Irene's like, well, fuck this right off. And she goes to get inside. But she's like, hang on, I better go check on my dancing friend. And Celaena has already taken out 2 of the penises and is fighting 3 of them at once.
They're like little whack-a-moles. And she's like, bang, bang, bang.
But then a hand closes over Irene's mouth. And if a hand closed over my mouth, my first instinct wouldn't be to
Bite.
bite them.
Bite it.
Mine would be to weirdly lick them. Because I feel like that would be more disturbing.
Oh my god.
I would not want to lick.
Yeah.
I would not want to know where that hand has been.
No, I would not either. And yet, Here we are. So we're licking his hand, and she is now being used as a distraction. Celaena refuses to back down, even with the knife pressed to Irene's throat. The idea of dying like this makes Irene so very angry that she is able to break through her fear and use her self-defense interpretive dance moves that Celaena taught her to get out. She grand plies out of this mess.
Grand plies.
Arabesque.
Arabesque.
Fly kick to the head.
Plie and rise into fifth. Ballet dancers,
right,
can you
no.
tell?
I know. It's fine. It's some other form of trauma within you.
Literally.
So we're dancing. Celaena takes out the remaining men quickly and is grinning at Irene at this situation. But Celaena says she wanted Irene to get some practice in a controlled environment. And she says, come on, Irene. Irene doesn't say goodbye when Celaena finally leaves. Irene finishes washing the blood off her clothes when she discovers a pouch on her bed with a note that says, for wherever you need to go and then some. The world needs more healers. The pouch is filled with coins and Celena's brooch. Brooch? Brooch.
Brooch. It's like gooch,
I've
but
given,
it's a brooch.
Just Celena's gooch.
It's actually just a brooch connected to her gooch. And it's now a brooch.
It's now a brooch. Okay, the pouch is filled with coins and Celena's brooch.
Brooch. Not
Brooch. Not gooch, not brooch, not pooch. She takes the money and leaves for Antica. In Celena's point of view, she's thinking about Irene and how there are so many people like them who are displaced because of war. She thinks that she feels an invisible tug on a web to help Irene and finds some peace in knowing that she has helped her as much as she could by teaching her the art form that is interpretive dance.
Absolutely.
And giving her some money.
And that is where I end my time on this podcast. Good day, sirs.
Then we go from the Pirate Lord and the Healer, and now we're in the desert. Celaena arrives in the desert at the Silent Assassin's Fortress. It took like a long-ass journey, and she's all like sweaty and sandy, and that's not a vibe. Celaena meets the Mute Master, aka Eminem, and he looks like he could have been from Erilea. She wonders how he wound up here, but we get no answers. He sees her bruising and scars from Arabin beating her ass, and he's not too happy about that.
Beating her ass, yeah.
In fact, it was not her anus.
Neckmin, the Mute Master, snaps his fingers. He's like, excuse me, and 4 men charge for her.
Excuse me, sorry.
Mute Master.
Yeah, exactly right.
But then Celaena beats all of these assailants, even while she is like dehydrated and dirty. Then Neckmin, the room is filled with people, and one girl in particular smiles at her. We get this quote, which is, Celaena tried not to look too interested, though the girl was one of the most stunning people she'd ever beheld. It wasn't just her wine red hair or the colour of her eyes, a red-brown Celaena had never seen before. No, it was the girl's armour that initially caught her interest, ornate to the point of probably being useless, but still a work of art. Wow, that was all the vibes I wanted growing up when I had red hair, but anyways. This girl's name is Ansel, and they are sharing a room while she's here. They're besties, they're roommates, they're bed-bunking pals, it's all the times.
Like Hansel and Gretel, but except it's Ansel.
Minus the H.
It's Ansel or Ansel, I don't know, we'll see how I pronounce it depending on how drunk I get.
Ansel, except
Ansel.
without the H.
Ansel, yeah. Anyway.
That got so sexual.
He was German.
It wasn't German, that was sexual.
That sounded like sex.
Oh, God. They are sharing a room. Life is great. Celaena has all of these thoughts which really make me think of high school. Like, she feels this competitiveness towards Ansel and is comparing herself against her, like, based on her looks and how she carries herself. She is used to essentially being a pick-me girl as the only girl in the guild, and now she's anxious that Ansel could be better than her, even though she knows nothing about her. We find out that Ansel is 18 and she is from the Flatlands, aka the Wastes, which is the Witch Kingdom, but she's been here since she was 13. The Master has never trained her though, and apparently, like, wolves are her family sigil, hence her really ornate wolf armor.
I have a question.
Yeah.
I'm raising my hand.
I was like,
For question time. So she's clearly the red-headed woman that's in charge of the witches that was referred to in the last book.
Redheaded queen, where?
In the Wastelands. That was what Era 5
I
was.
missed that.
Oh, okay.
Would obviously make sense.
that would make sense.
Because she runs
Hypothetically.
off.
Anyways, leave that. While Celaena is in the desert, she is thinking about Sam and she's wondering how he's doing. And when she falls asleep that night, we get a glimpse into what happened the day that she got back to the Assassin's Keep and told Arabin what she had done with the slaves. Her and Sam are there, and 3 assassins hold Sam back while Arabin beats her. Sam is screaming and roaring something, but she's unable to remember what he said. The only relief she feels when she passes out is that Sam at least wasn't hurt. You're like,
trauma.
poor trauma. We go to the next chapter, and Celaena is at lunch. Ansel and her friend Mikhail, who seems to have a little bit of a crush on Ansel. So we're getting some more characters and getting to understand the dynamics at the Mute Master's compound. And we learn that the silent assassins also essentially use a form of sign language to communicate. So I thought that was cool. There's this handsome man nearby though, and Celaena says that he is desirable, maybe as desirable as Sam. And so it's like, oh my god, suddenly Sam is like a contender. We've got this enemies to lovers thing with Sam now that he's in the mix. So like, fuck it up, I'm into it. Which obviously we've all already read like 3 books, so we know what's coming, but that's fine. We're here for the journey. Mikhail asks Celaena if she deserved the bruises on her face, and we get this quote. If Arabin Hamel is telling the story, then yes, I suppose I did deserve it. I cost him a good deal of money, a kingdom's worth of riches probably. I was disobedient and disrespectful and completely remorseless about what I did. She didn't break her stare, and Mikhail's smile faltered. But if the 200 slaves that I freed are telling the story, then no, I suppose I didn't deserve it.
Fuck, that is fucking good.
That is so good. I love Celaena getting her backbone.
Yeah.
But essentially, while she's with the Mute Master, she's basically given like grunt work to break her in before the Master will even consider training her. So Celaena follows the Master out of the lunchroom, and when she tells him that she wants to train with just him, he tells her that she has to wait. Then Ellies is there, aka the handsome man, aka the Mute Master's son. He is also silent, but introduces himself nonetheless, so it's fine, we're picking up what he's putting down. When Celaena goes back to her rooms, she is still thinking about Sam and what he may have been yelling at Arabin that day when like she was beaten, and why Arabin knew he would need like 3 trained assassins to hold Sam back while Arabin beat her. Super interesting. I wonder
It's because he was just about to break out into interpretive dance and no one actually witnessed those moves.
I got these moves.
I need to dance out of my body.
Next chapter, and the grunt work that Celaena is doing is basically like really fucked up cardio, but it's working because she can run further and further each day, which is almost going to be beneficial when eventually she is pulled out of a slave mine and has to run back to her castle to see if her best friend has been murdered, but that's fine.
Oh, God.
Jesus.
Then we discover that there is this other character called Lord Beric, and he is basically a local lord who has been trying to take down these silent assassins for quite some time. Celaena has been training with the silent assassins for like 5 days when he attacks. The silent assassins are communicating through sign language. Basically, they don't kill the 30 soldiers who are trying to creep up on the fortress to kill them. Instead, they dip their arrows in this oil and they light them on fire and then fire them towards like a ridge, and it creates a wall of fire. So that seems pretty cool. It basically seems like the Lord and the assassins are playing a game of chicken.
Yeah, like the chicken slaves. I must say, it would be very hard to read sign language in the dark without like little miners' light head torches on, which I assume they're not wearing.
Basically, the next day after all of that, Ansel is ordered to go to Xandria to give Lord Beric a scroll from the Master, and Celaena is tagging along. We basically learn that this is Ansel's role within the fortress. She kind of acts like the Mute Master's emissary. As they are travelling, Celaena asks Ansel about her country, and Ansel tells her about the Iron Teeth and Crocken witches. Ansel has this whole traumatic backstory of her childhood friend that got eaten by a witch and says that the only way to kill a witch is to cut off its head. Hopefully that will come in handy in Celaena's future. Cock, 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 cock. I went to say cough, cough, and I was just like, cock.
Isn't it funny that Ansel sounds like Hansel, and Hansel and Gretel was about a story of a witch eating children?
Mm-hmm. Isn't that funny?
Wow. We've got a retelling of our storybook.
Well, you're like, oh, wow.
Oh, wow.
Oh, I just realised I have to take a shot.
We just read last week about a fairy tale that got turned into like porn. So
this just recovered from that. Anyways, Ansel says that if she were the master of the silent assassins, she would take all of them to the unprotected realms out there and protect the innocents. And Celaena's like, wow, that's so noble. Like Ansel of Briarcliff, defender of the realm. Wonder if that will go anywhere. So then they arrive in Xandria. Ansel goes off to meet with Beric, and Celaena's just...
Ellie just comes on and she's like... And then she's like, wait a second. What?
I heard something.
While Ansel is doing her super cool adult job, Celaena is basically left to wander the local shopping centre. And she finds she's given $2 to go to a vending machine, and that's about it. But she ends up finding a vendor that sells spider silk. And we already know what this is because we've just read Air of Fire. So thanks, Manon. The merchant tells her that he sold 20 years of his life for 100 yards of spider silk, and the only way to get those years back would be to kill the spider who took them. His spider is just chilling somewhere in the Rune Mountains. He kind of tries to convince Celaena to go after the spider to help him get his youth back, but after considering this, Celaena tells him to come find her when she's in Rifthold next. He gives her like a small 6-inch square of spider silk to remind her that everything has a price.
Big yikes.
That was generous, though.
It is. Like, that everything is a price is super interesting. And so finally, anyways.
My tongue is red. Like the blood of Sam Cortland.
Oh my God.
George.
Ansel takes Celaena to some nearby stables, and we discover that there are 2 Asterian horses inside. So these Asterian stallions are like, wow, amazing, super special horses. And Ansel is like, YOLO, what if we stole them? She takes one and yeets the fuck out of there. Celaena barely has a chance to say anything. Like, she literally only has time to get the other one, and they're gone. The girls are having like the time of their life. They're being chased, of course. Celaena, hello world, this is me.
They're holding hands as they're riding.
Yeah, anyway, so Celaena can't help but wish that Sam was also in the Saddle Club with her, but that's fine. He's on a different network. And so it's like...
He's starring on Criminal Minds at the moment.
Anyways, so Ansel is like, yo, we're about to jump a ravine, so just hold on, bitch. And Celaena's like, whoa, that seems like a drastic event that we should probably talk about, but there's no time. Ansel makes like the 30-foot jump, and Celaena doesn't have room to stop, so she just yeets on after there, and of course she makes it because she is the main character. Actually, that's when Celaena dies. The rest of the books are done. She's never made it.
It's actually just a dream.
She's actually still falling, and she's just hallucinating what her life could have been if she made different decisions.
Jesus.
So when they finally stop, Celaena actually punches Ansel as hard as she can in the jaw, and Ansel is like, that was a good punch, bitch, I like you. And then they are stargazing together, which is very romantic, to be honest, but that's fine. Ansel opens up and tells Celaena that she lied and that her father didn't actually send her to the silent assassins. Her father was killed by the current king of the Waste, and when she was fleeing for her life, she met an Iron Teeth witch. This witch, helped her bind her wounds and gave her gold and told her that she needed to go to the silent assassins. So she did.
Who do we think this is?
I wonder if it's Astrid.
I like the thought of it to be Astrid.
Astrid's got the most heart at this stage out of the 13. Manon would just kill this bitch.
What about Petra? She seems nice.
Petra's nuts, though.
Oh.
Petra is a bit
Anyway, so if anyone has any thoughts on who this witch is, please let me know, because I don't think we actually get the confirmation that you get with some other of the breadcrumbs that title to put out here. But anyway, the quote we get is, Celaena hadn't realised she was crying until she tried to take a deep breath. Saying that she was sorry didn't feel adequate. She knew what this sort of loss was like, and the words didn't do anything at all. Ansel slowly turned to look at her, her eyes lined with silver. She traced Celaena's cheekbone where the bruises had once been. Where do men find it in themselves to do such monstrous things? How do they find it acceptable?
My God.
This really got to me. There's a part of Ansel's arc in this book is that she's really hurt by the actions of men, and she's twisted by the anger that she feels, rightfully so, at how she's been treated. But that anger becomes something toxic and harmful, and it's actually hurting her as much as it's protecting her. She's not in a good space. She's not going to be able to heal. She can't recover. She is just so controlled by her anger. And this actually made me think of how I felt a couple years ago. Like, I really couldn't stand men at all, like in any way. I was really struggling with like where I was at with my feminist studies. Like, I was looking into how fucked things are, and because I was so angry, I couldn't go out, like I couldn't walk through town because I was so scared that it just was controlling my life. I think there is a place for that anger within feminism. We need that fire, but there has to be a point where you come out the other side, I think.
Sometimes that anger is not constructive.
Yeah.
And it's not actually to the betterment of the cause of what feminism is actually driving towards.
Yeah.
And that just adds fuel to the fire of people like Andrew Tate.
We don't say that man's fucking name in this house.
You're not
Yeah.
speaking. You can't just have anger.
And that's what Ansel's story is in this book. She's just angry. Celaena is crying. Ansel's crying. We're all crying. Life is great. And Ansel is like, I need to seek retribution from my family. And Celaena is like, we'll make them pay. Sounds good. Ansel and Celaena are going to get in trouble, though, because they did steal that lord's horses. And Celaena has flashbacks to the day that Arabin beat her. And she finally remembers the thing that Sam was shouting was, I will kill you. He was shouting, I'll kill you at Arabin while he beat Celaena.
Ooh.
I love every moment of it.
Thank you, Georgia.
It, in fact, was not interpretive dance.
It was touch her and you die, but really he'll die anyways. So, Celaena is scared shitless of the master because obviously if this is what Arabin did to her, she can only assume that she is going to be abused now. The mute master like lifts her chin. He's like, oh, I'm not angry, I'm just disappointed. But she realizes that he's not going to hit her, and Celaena takes the blame because Ansel needs to be there more than she does, and the master ends up giving her like stable duty until Celaena leaves and makes this hand gesture that will mean that Celaena meets him tomorrow for her first training session.
He just goes like this. He goes.
He's actually just like,
You, me, scissoring now.
More interpretive dance.
look, for
It
those
really
that are
is.
audio
Not affectionate.
only, you can only assume what hand gestures Georgia is throwing at this stage. So then we're in, Celaena goes through training with the master, and it's somewhat unconventional. Like, first up, she's got to observe and move like a black asp, which remember when we
Okay.
were all stressed over the asp?
Bryony, you just said her training is somewhat unconventional. I'm sorry. Studying the movements of a snake might be indeed quite very unconventional.
She's on the floor like this.
Well, it depends. What if your studies were snake?
But her studies is not of a snake, it's of an assassin.
Look,
She
it's
is, in
all
fact,
loops and
not
dupes.
A snake.
No,
Can
Loops and
confirm,
dupes.
not snake.
can confirm. Celaena is not in the field of zoology. She's in the field of killing.
I'm
I
sure
don't
why
know
you
what
have
Bryony.
ears.
How's she a snake? That is not a snake.
So, first up on the agenda of her unconventional training is she's got to observe that snake and move it and follow its movements. Seems like a great time. Point number 2 is that she's got to like dangle from the rafters like a bat, figure out their strengths, how they become so silent, then like how they can drown out like external noise to focus on their targets. Item number 3 is she spends nights with like the jackrabbits on the dunes, learning their stillness and how they use their speed and dexterity to like evade talons or claws.
How they fuck.
That's what I was about to say.
Just like we flash forward and it's Midsummer Eve. Ansel and Celaena are having a cute little like makeover party for a party. Like it's a makeover party for a party. Just go with it. Don't question it.
Okay.
Celaena thinks that Ansel is the first female friend she has had. They're at this like Midsummer Eve party, and Ansel and Mikhail are like being all cute, and Celaena can't stop thinking about Sam. That's the entire time of the desert. She's just like, Sam. And she thinks of like how he used to look at her the same way that Mikhail is looking at Ansel. She has started to like really hate Arabin at this stage, and she thinks that if he ever hurts her or Sam again, she will make him pay. Hold on to that. But then Elias arrives. Elias arrives and wants to dance with her, and she decides fuck it and takes his hand. They dance, and then when she is all like tuckered out, she goes back to her rooms, and Elias walks her back. But when Elias tries to kiss her, she pulls back. He's a gentleman about it, but she says that it would be too hard because he lives so far away, like long distance isn't for her. And he walks away but gives her a smile as he enters his room. So, cool.
But if he wants just me, I will.
Yeah.
Make it work.
Yeah,
'cause he's gorgeous. Like, he's absolutely gorgeous.
And he's silent. He doesn't talk back.
He doesn't talk. He doesn't talk. We find out that Celaena didn't reject Elias because he was long distance. She's actually okay with that, but it was because she looked at him and instead she saw the memory of Sam's face.
Oh.
Amazing. So the next morning, Ansel comes to stable duty in last night's clothes, and Celaena's like, "Oh, you dirty girl." Ansel isn't in the mood to play though, and she's like, "Oh well, I spend time with Mikhail because he spends extra time training me." And Celaena's like, "Well, that's a weird flex, but okay." Ansel starts having a dig at Celaena because the master is training her, and Celaena is like, "What's your fucking problem?" And they get into this weird argument, and Ansel ends up saying to her that you're just a spoiled, selfish bitch.
You selfish.
Which is just like, big yikes. Where did that come from? Celaena is then training with the master, but she can't focus. He motions for her to sit, and she tells him that she thinks she's afraid to go home. Everything has changed since Skulls Bay, and the master tells her that he understands. When we say the master tells her things or asks her things, it's not with words.
He's just
straight up
his
vibes.
eyebrows.
It's just vibes.
Straight up vibes.
The vibes emanating from you are just...
So the master gets up, basically shows her everything she's learnt from the animal assortment from Old MacDonald's farm is put into action. She loves it. When she gets back to her room, she sleeps and then is awoken by Ansel. Ansel apologizes to her. Ansel's acting a bit odd, but she gives Celaena like some wine to celebrate, and Celena's like, absolutely. And do you remember when we were reading other books and I said that Celaena is really shit with poisons?
Yeah.
We do recall.
You did say that. You did.
So when Celaena drinks the wine, she notices that Ansel's face now looks sorrowful and the wine tasted strange. But she doesn't have time to react, and the poison takes control and she passes out. When she does wake up, she's in the desert, which is a very shit place to wake up. And her Asterian stallion is watching over her. She finds a note, and it's in Ansel's handwriting, and it says, "I'm sorry it had to end this way. The master said it would be easier to let you go rather than shame you by publicly asking you to leave early. Cassida is yours, as is the master's letter of approval, which is in the saddlebag. Go home. I will miss you. Ansel."
Weird vibes.
And at this stage, Celaena goes, well, that does sound legit, so I'm not going to check anything. I'm just going to go.
I would not be able to hold a letter in my hand that had like all that information and not open it. Like, I would need to know what it fucking said.
Exactly. But nonetheless, our girl is like, well, this is weird, but oh well. And heads back towards Xandria, but on her trek back, she notices like a bunch of soldiers heading out towards this fortress, and she thinks that may have been why the master sent her away, but she continues to walk away. When she does get to Xandria, she's still struggling with the thought, and she thinks that something is not quite right. So she opens up the letter of approval from the master, and what do you know? It's blank. She has in fact been duped.
She's been duped.
So her and Cassida take off back into the desert. Celaena gets there, and there are fires everywhere. Lord Beric's men have breached the walls, and Celaena ends up running to find the master. When she gets to his room, she finds Mikhail dead, and Elias, who is bleeding and nearly dead. And then she finds the master, who is drugged and paralyzed on the dais, and Ansel is there. there, about to kill the Master. So it's just a whole time.
It's all happening.
Celaena literally bursts in the room, has enough time to take that in, and then has to throw a dagger and hits Ansel in the forearm to stop her from killing the Master. Ansel is like, what the fuck, man? You're meant to be elsewhere. The girls then struggle and fight, and Ansel says that the Master never helped her, but Lord Beric said that he would give her an army to, like, reclaim her homeland. And we get this quote, like Celaena saying, don't do it. And Ansel says why. Celaena put a hand over her heart, tightly gripping her sword with the other, because I know what it feels like. She dared another step, because I know how it feels to have that kind of hate, Ansel. I know how it feels, and this isn't the way. This, she said louder, gesturing to the fortress and all the corpses in it, all the soldiers and assassins still fighting. This is not the way, says the assassin, Ansel spat. And Celaena says, I've become an assassin because I had no choice, but you have a choice, Ansel. You've always had a choice. Please don't kill him. Please don't make me kill you, was what she truly meant to say.
Oh.
But that's so rough.
Especially because they were like besties.
It's her first female friend.
They
and
stole horses together.
they were in the saddle club
did.
with Stevie and Carol.
Saddle Club.
Who cares about Lisa? Fucking
No
hell.
one cares about Lisa. Ansel cannot let go of her anger, though, and says that these men destroy everything and that she is angry because Celaena knows this and yet she still does nothing. She is chained to her master all the same. The fight continues and Ansel confirms that she killed Mikhail. So that is some domestic violence. She killed her intimate partner. Ansel pins Celaena and the master makes like a slight movement with his hand like a snake. So he's like paralyzed, but he's like...
I know, he's like, I presume
He's just a
like
noodle.
this.
Just a finger. Just a single...
I didn't
Singular
he's
finger.
paralyzed. How is he doing this?
He's actually sat up and just done the full body work. Like...
And Celaena's like, yes, I know what I need to do now.
Absolutely.
She did.
Okay, Hansel, and Gretel. Celaena twists out of Ansel's grasp and has her pinned. The assassins win. Yay, and there's cheering. Celaena tells Ansel that she has 5 minutes to get her shit together and yeet. Otherwise, Celaena will be shooting an arrow for her throat, which is like very intense, but okay. Ansel runs and Celaena runs to Ellies. He'll be okay. The assassins come and take him to a healer. She then goes and sits with the master. Like, we know it's not enough poison to kill him, and he holds her hand in thanks. It's been 20 minutes at this stage. She makes it outside and she can barely see Ansel in the distance, but she takes her aim and then she waits and then she shoots. It misses because she gave her an extra minute.
Like, just fucking misses her.
It just. The next day, Celaena is brought to the master's chambers and the master actually starts using his vocal cords.
Wow.
He is glad that Celaena didn't kill Ansel. He knew that her story was fake, but he wanted to help her control her anger. He tells Celaena that he thinks she was Ansel's only true friend. And the quote we get is, I think you will leave a lasting imprint on Ansel's heart. You spared her life and returned her father's sword. She will not soon forget that. And maybe when she makes her next move to reclaim her title, she will remember the assassin from the north and the kindness you showed her and try to leave fewer bodies in her wake. The master then gives her the approval letter and tells her to hold her head high when she gives it to Arabin. The master thanks her for saving his life, says he's giving her like 3 trunks of gold as like, thanks mate. He also tells her that she will always have a home with them if she needs it. And to end this part of the book, we get this quote, which is, she looked to the open window to the world beyond. For the first time in a long while, she heard the song of a northern wind calling her home. And she was not afraid.
She was.
I would also like you guys to know that the reason that Georgia and Ellie were so quiet in that last bit is because Georgia's covering the book with her face and Ellie is just squinting at her.
No, we were doing a rude finger fight.
Oh.
How did I miss all of that?
still.
You were talking about something that was very interesting, and then Ellie's like, well, looks at us, and then obviously I can't keep a straight face because I'm looking at her and she's squinting, and then I grab the book, put it over my face, and then she keeps squinting, so I flip her the bird, you know, I'm like, fuck you and your bird.
Fuck you and your bird right back at you.
And then she's like, well, fuck you and your bird too. So, getting into the assassin and the underworld. So we start off, Celaena is basically ready to waltz into Arobyn's office when she gets back from the desert. But when she arrives back, he ends up apologizing when he sees her. He basically says that he's been praying for forgiveness, and not a single person in this studio believes that motherfucker. We don't.
Absolutely not.
We hate his
He's a
face.
groomer.
Yep, he's a fucking cunt. Anyway, he basically says that as a gift, he is giving her a brooch with a giant fuck-off emerald on it. And along with this, she's also being sent on a mission to fucking yeet this guy called Donoval. They've basically been hired by someone who doesn't believe in the slave trade, and basically Celaena's job is to retrieve some important documents about the slave trade agreement and, you know, go from there. Bryony's just done a shot. Welcome to part 4. So she says that she'll think about it, think about the forgiveness, and he lifts up his arms to hug her, and she's like, get fucked, you old cunt, and walks away. So that's good. Good for her. When she goes walking back to her rooms, this is the part we've all been waiting for, Sam walks out of the bathroom, and they have this moment. They lock eyes at the end of the hallway, and it's everything. He sees her scars, and he's like, who did that to you? And we fucking squeal. We squeal. We end up in this moment meeting this woman called Lysandra. She is a prostitute or sex worker or whatever you would like to call it, a courtesan. They have never gotten along, her and Celaena. In fact, we learn of one incident between them where Lysandra snatched a lace fan from Celaena's hands, and we get this quote. The ensuing fight had sent them tumbling down a flight of stairs. Celaena had spent a night in the keep's dungeon for the welts she'd left on Lysandra's face by beating her with the fan itself.
Beautiful.
Oh.
So Lysandra is basically all like buddy-buddy with Sam, and Celaena is increasingly jealous by the second. We jump to the next chapter, and Celaena is going to get pampered, but she's still fucking pissed at Sam. She decides to take Arobyn's deal on and is going to find Donoval. So Arobyn basically gets her like this brand new fighting suit with like mechanical daggers like spring out of her arms and like her boots, and it's this amazing outfit. It's
It's like a Charlie's Angel spec suit.
And Sam is also getting a suit, but Arobyn's like, you're not pretty enough, so you must pay for your own. And when Arobyn leaves her with the maker of the suit, she actually gives him the little tiny square of spider silk and is like, put this over the heart area of the suit, please. It didn't come out as beautiful as what I thought it would.
Put this over the region of the cardiac. So
as she's leaving, she runs into Sam. And they're fighting again, but he's like, fuck you, Celaena, stop being a fucking bitch. And we get this quote. My price was his oath that he'd never lay a hand on you again. I told him I'd forgive him in exchange for that.
Oh my God.
It's heartbreaking, quaking, actually screaming, squelching. Who knows?
Oh my God, the squelch.
So basically, she is now being like, Soz got to go. That's too much trauma for me. I'm going to go find Donoval. But then when she goes to find Donoval, because they're going on this wild adventure, Arobyn's taking them, Sam is there because it's Lysandra's bidding night and Sam is on babysitting duty.
Oh dear.
Cool.
It's not going to go well for Lysandra.
Delicious.
No, it's
because
not.
you always want to babysit a 16-year-old tiny whore.
The tiny whore came back.
Anyway, they're going to the theatre and she's like, looking at Donoval, she's like following him with her eyes as she's sitting down, and then like Sam sits down next to her and she like looks at him at the corner of her eye, and she says that he looks very handsome, and he is shook by this. He is like, oh my God, does she just call me handsome? Oh. And when she goes right back to looking at her target, Sam reaches and touches her shoulder, and he says, you look beautiful tonight, though I bet you already knew that. Celaena is obviously shocked by the performance. She is just like, it's beautiful, it's heartbreaking, it's heart-wrenching. She's crying and so hypnotized by the performance that she doesn't watch her target, which is like a big no-no, obviously. And that night, there's actually a party at the Keep, and she like slips off to play the piano, and Sam follows her. And they chat back and forth, and he says that yes, he was in fact beaten by Erebin, but his main punishment was watching him beat her.
Oh my
And it's like,
God.
come on. She's got the blinders on.
But also, like, this whole scene, like, at the theatre and then here with the piano, like, from reading the other books, we know Celaena's attachment to music and how healing and how, like, vulnerable she feels with it, and, like, that he was there first.
Yeah, it's beautiful. She ends up asking Sam to help her with the Donovan case, and he accepts. And he tells her that he missed her, and she says that she missed him too. The next chapter, Celaena and Sam are waiting out at Donoval's. They don't really get any information, but they're just going to keep trying. So when they get back to the keep after that, she gets out of the bath and sees that there's a note left for her and some sheet music. And it's the same sheet music that played at the theatre, and he got it for her. Sam left it for her.
It's
just
fine.
absolutely
It's absolutely
heartbreaking.
fine.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway,
We
so
should be allowed anywhere.
I know.
Really shouldn't.
So Sam tells Celaena that Lysandra isn't actually too bad of a person, and she just really wants Celaena's attention. And Celaena's like, whatever, bro, I don't give a fuck. After she finds the sheet music, she goes downstairs to the party at the keep, and she's like keeping an eye on Donovan. Donoval's there in the corner with all like these courtesans. He's around like all the hoes, you know, he's the little hoes. And she's like standing there with Sam, and she's like, I'm gonna go speak with him. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna go speak with him right now. She wanders over and she's like, oh my goodness, where am I? I don't know where I am. And Donoval's like, oh, a helpless young woman. She says that her uncle's got some, you know, weird thing, and he's really interested, he's really rich, and he wants to meet with Donovan. And Donoval's like, well, you know what? I have some time available tomorrow night before 7:30 or after 8:30, we don't know. But all we know is that he's at a dinner between 7:30 and 8:30, and that's all we need to know. So Sam and Celaena have that information, and they're going to go get him.
Yeah.
Anyway, so Celaena's done her duty for the night, so she's now, I'm going to spend the rest of the night as the dancing queen. Then
Absolutely.
we
This
get
bit.
this quote.
This bit.
4 young men wearing masks stood atop the steps, surveying the crowd. It took all of 2 heartbeats for her to see that the dark-haired youth was their ringleader, and that the fine clothes and masks they wore marked them as nobility. The masked strangers swaggered down the steps, one of them keeping close to the dark-haired youth. That one had a sword, she noticed, and from his tensed shoulders, she could tell he wasn't entirely pleased to be here. And now, who do you think that is?
It's
Ellie?
almost like a stale bit of foliage.
It is. It is. And a boy who looks as though he could fall in love very, very easily. His penis is just swinging around. It's like a little radar. It's like a metal detector.
Fucking hell. Anyway, so she's dancing, but she's also making like sexy eyes at the prince as she's dancing.
Which we know Celaena is all about because she's like, I am the hottest of hot shit.
Absolutely. She's like, I am the sex goddess. And then we get this moment where someone comes up behind her and says, some party, the stranger whispers in her ear. She twisted to see sapphire eyes gleaming at her. And we were all like, it's Dorian! Sam obviously sees this interaction and he's like, absolutely fucking not. He steps in between them and is like, she's spoken for. We're all screaming, quaking. It's beautiful. Kale, obviously, is right behind Dorian. And Dorian is like, look, I'm really sorry, bro. Celaena is like, Sam, what the actual fuck? And Sam's like, you're a fool for not seeing that I would do anything for you. And she's drunk. She's drunk and she's not having that. She's like, absolutely not. That is too much trauma for my night. I just wanted to dance. And he's like, well, fuck you then. I'm going. And he leaves. And Celaena obviously dances the night away. And the next morning she sits on the roof of her new apartment and she's like, fuck yeah, this is great. Oh yeah, we forgot to mention when she was in the desert, the mute master gave her like 3 or 4 trunks.
That gold he gave her, she used it.
Yeah. She used them to buy herself out of Erebin's, you know, whatever. So she's now...
She paid off her debt to him, so she's free.
Yeah, so she has her own apartment now, which is awesome. She bought it, so that's cool. Great. Awesome, we love that for her.
Independent living.
So the next day, Celaena is training and Sam is there, shirtless. and gleaming with
What's he-
sweat.
Why is he sweating? What's he doing?
He's
just arrived.
Training. He's been in there
He's
training for a long time.
He's just been wanking in the corner the entire time.
Anyway, God. So they then have another mini fight, and Lysandra, of course, is involved. She's like, "Come have lunch with me, Sam." And he's like, "No, I want to have lunch with Celaena." And Celaena's like, "No, I don't want to have lunch with you. Fuck off with your little whore." So she is like watching Donoval's house, and she enters through a window, and it's like they knew she was coming. Isn't that interesting? She ends up being attacked by Donoval's bodyguards, and then she is captured.
Uh-oh.
So they basically knew that she was watching them. They decide that they aren't going to torture her, but rather, because she's tied up on a chair underground in the sewers, they'll just let the sewage water take her away and drown her. And they just leave
That
her
is
there.
literally such a shit way to go.
Literally a shit way to go.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Oh, wow.
Literally.
Someone had to make the joke.
So they end up like leaving her there, and the water starts flowing in, and she's obviously panicking. She ends up managing to cut out of her ropes with the blades that were like hidden in her suit, you know? She swims and swims through the shit water and the dying rats, and she ends up getting to a ladder that can take her upwards, but the lid to get out of the sewer won't open. And she's like screaming for help. And like it gets to the point where she's like, no one's going to hear me, but she just keeps trying. And then she can hear Sam. And Sam is like begging, not her, but God or whoever the fuck is watching over them to not let this happen. And they try everything to get the grate open, but it's no use. And just before the water rises all the way up to the top of the grate, she says, "Take my body home to Terrason, Sam." Oh my God.
This whole scene is just like a pipe dream. It's so good.
It's so
I mean, it's not
fucked.
good because she's covered in shit and drowning in shit, but
And they're literally in a
It's-
pipe. But
Yes. Thankfully, Celaena wakes up and Sam is doing CPR and two women are standing by with a crowbar and like the grate is on the floor. Obviously she survives. She ends up getting back to the keep and takes like 8 baths, and one is literally just in like pure alcohol just because she's trying to get rid of the vile
Fair. It's
smell.
probably viral.
Yeah. And she just can't get the feeling of being in the sewer off her. Like, it's fucked. And obviously, she's got fucking PTSD from almost drowning. So that's also great. But Sam pops in and she thanks him for saving her life. And she tells him the story of her time in the desert. And when she's finished, Sam traces a finger across the scar on her neck, which Ansel actually left like a slight scar on Aylin's neck as she held her down. And Aylin gets really hot and bothered by this like moment with Sam. She's like, oh shit, he just touched my neck. But there's no time for that because they've got work to do because Donoval's bodyguard just entered her fucking kill list. Celaena decides that it's time, and she says to Erebin, like, I'm going to keep working with you even though I've paid off my debts. And he's like, okay, cool, no wazza. And
She believes him.
Yeah, of course. He's like, no wazza. She's like, oh, that sounds great. How easy was that? So her and Sam go back out to the sewer to figure out a plan. Sam ends up telling Celaena that he's going to be leaving for Banjali in 2 weeks because he can't stay here with Erebin, and he just needed to know that she was okay. And now that she's free and is okay, he can leave. And she's basically like begging Sam not to go. And she's like, why can't you just move on from what Erebin did to me? And then we get this quote, because I love you. I love you. I have for years. And he hurt you and made me watch because he's always known how I felt too. But if I asked you to pick, you'd choose Erebin. And I can't take it. And we were all fucking crying because then Celaena tops that off by saying, you're a damned idiot. You're a moron and an ass and a damned idiot. He looked like she had hit him, but she went on and grasped both sides of his face because I'd pick you. And then they kiss. Oh my God.
I'm not okay. I'm
Screaming,
absolutely not
crying,
okay.
vomiting, throwing up, queefing, running in circles, running off the bridges. It's all happening.
Stealing off a mailbox, eating soup.
Eating soup.
What?
Yeah.
I was like, why are we queefing?
None of the bodily functions are safe. None of them. Anyway, so they kiss and they kiss and they kiss and they kiss and we're all screaming. It's beautiful. And she doesn't care about a damn thing in that moment except for Sam. So they go back to the keep and Sam holds her hand all the way back and then they spend the night kissing in her rooms. But it doesn't go any further than a few little pecks and some kisses. Celaena is basically in bed at night and she's thinking about the mission and she ends up taking an oath, which is in the silence of her bedroom. She swore an oath to the moonlight that if Sam got hurt, no force in the world would hold her back from slaughtering everyone responsible. Just keep that there. Just keep that right in your noggin, right up the front. Super interesting. The next day they break into Donoval's and it's a whole vibe. Celaena is like inside getting the documents and Sam is providing a distraction. And the distraction is actually a giant fuck off explosion. Double thumbs up. So Celaena ends up killing Donoval, but the person he was meeting at that time runs away. She tries to chase him, but Philip, which is the guard that basically tried to drown her in the sewer, gets in the way. Philip says that Donoval loved his country and she was wrong basically just before she kills him. So that's nice to think of. She ends up chasing down the other man who was the person that they were meeting and he's like, too late, swallows like this vial of liquid, just like yeets it down his throat and burns the papers that he had. And when Celaena sees the remnants of the documents, it's the locations of safe houses all over the continent. And she has like this nagging feeling that possibly Philip was right. And Erebin may have deceived her again. So that's awesome.
Seems super cool.
So she runs and finds Sam after this, and apparently he almost died, so that's cool. He got shot by an arrow, and it was like straight for his heart, but it bounced right off.
The spider silk. I'm not okay.
Granny, what was that? What was that? You just hyperventilated.
So yes, she doesn't tell him that it was her, obviously. It's top secret information. So we leave that there, leave that trauma bomb. Celaena ends up bringing the documents to Erebin, and he's like, wow, you haven't figured it out yet? It's all a sham. Sham wow, to be exact.
Oh my god, what a sham wow.
That is a blast from the past.
But yes, no one is surprised. Not one person is shocked by the fact that Erebin decided to deceive her again. Donoval and his friend were on the good guys team, and the person who basically hides Celaena is the bad guy. No one is shocked. But Celaena's very fucking hurt. She basically ends up telling Erebin that she sold her Asterian horse to the person who hired them, thinking that she was going to a good person. But she said that the money is being transferred to him right now so that Sam is free of his debt.
Oh, bless her cotton socks.
And then we get this tidbit. Erebin is like, well, that's good, because I actually needed more money because I ended up buying Lysandra last night at her bidding, which is big yikes, because remember, Lysandra is the same age as Celaena, which is what, 16? 17 right now? This is a grown-ass fucking man.
That's not at all problematic or troubling or pedophilic.
Anyway, fuck it up. So, The Assassin in the Empire. The first chapter of this part, we presume, is from after Celaena has done whatever she's done, and she's thinking in her head, like, have I brought this all on myself? Because she's like in shackles in the wagon, happy days. It's not happy days. It's actually very traumatic, but that's fine.
Yeah, very much not happy days.
Not happy days.
No.
11 days earlier, though, Celaena snuck into the theatre to watch her favourite orchestra play, and Erebin and Lysandra are sitting in like her and Erebin's usual box, and she's like up in like the rafters looking over the entire theatre, and she's like, this is her favourite night of the year. It's like the one night that her and Erebin always used to go and watch the orchestra play, and like their symphonies are just everything to her. She ends up leaving at the end of the performance with like clarity, knowing that she chose to leave Erebin and she chose Sam and their new life. So she ends up leaving and going to find Sam, and Sam is fighting in what you would call the pit. He wins, of course. But he can tell that she's not happy when he sees her. She's basically told him, like, not to go back because she thinks it's really dangerous. But they need more money because Sam wants to leave Rifthold.
Yeah, he wants to skedaddle.
He wants to skedaddle, which is fair enough. Before they can leave, though, they need to basically get Erebin's permission because they are still technically members of his guild of assassins. And they're basically going to do, like, one more big contract, and then speak with Erebin and then leave.
Seems like a great idea.
We also learn in this moment that Sam keeps using her lavender soap. And she's like, stop doing that. Stop using my lavender soap, you fucking cunt.
Relatable.
Don't use my shit. So the next chapter, they enter Erebin's study and we learn that Sam and Wesley, Erebin's guard, are buddies. They're like old mates, good pals. And
So
Erebin
nice.
is thrilled to see them and says that they can leave the guild if they pay some like fuck ton crazy amount of money. And it's basically all the money that Celaena has left. She accepts this, however, but Sam is fucking fuming. When they leave, Sam needs a minute and he like goes for a walk to calm down, and Celaena ends up walking until she can see like the glass castle, and she just feels absolute terror because of the king that lives there, which
No reasons
we're
for
aware
that,
of this.
obviously.
When she gets home, it's a little while later when Sam arrives and he says that he has a client for them. He's unsure of who it is, but they want them to kill James. We don't fucking know. It's Jane. Whatever the fuck. We're going to call him Jane from now on. And
Rourke Farron.
Farron. We've got Jane and we've got Farron. Fuck their first names. We don't give a fuck about them anyway.
Absolutely not.
Celaena is like, absolutely fucking not. The crime lord is way too fucking heavily guarded. That ain't happening. But they need the money. So she says, like, maybe. And then Sam's like, oh, well, you know what? You actually look quite hot. They have this make-out session and she's like, no, not tonight, because they're like really close to doing, you know, the deed.
Oh,
She's like, no, not tonight. Sam says, I can wait. We have all the time in the world.
Oh my
don't.
god, you don't.
And they do, in fact, not have all the time in the world, in fact. So, double
Seems
thumbs up.
completely fine.
Yeah. So, Celaena is really smitten with Sam and agrees that they will take on the new client's job. And she thinks that she can give up being Adeline's assassin for him one day.
Oh, darling.
So they're starting to basically look over the two clients. Farron is first. They follow him. And as they are, I love how as my notes have gone through, I have ended up just yeeting his first name anyway. He's just known as Farron. It was like past Georgia was like, future Georgia's not going to want to deal with this shit. So
No.
they end up following him around. And as they are in disguises, they can be like out in the open, basically, which is like, don't do that. Farron gets into his carriage. And when he looks out the window, he ends up making eye contact directly with Celaena and smiles.
Yeah,
That seems
odd.
like a problem.
So that's a giant. If I have ever seen a red flag being waved in your face,
That's
this
it.
is it.
That's it. Yeah.
Sam ends up telling Celaena that he doesn't want her near Farron because he is literally batshit fucking crazy. And Celaena is like, fuck no. But Sam is like, there's no fucking arguments. You sit the fuck back for this one. You sit down. You stand down, soldier.
It's fine.
Like a
Turned into
military.
Saving Private Ryan, but Jesus.
Literally.
okay.
Oh my god. Taking Private Ryan? Oh my god.
So Celaena ends up leaving Sam to do the lookout as per his instructions. She's like, okay, I'll take the orders from you, big man. It's fine.
As per his instructions.
As per previous correspondence.
Anyway, Celaena leaves Sam to the lookout and she goes out wandering for a bit, and when she gets back to her apartment, Erebin is there, which we're all like, great, awesome, we love that. He's like, why are you going to kill those people? They're fucking crazy. Even I, like, wouldn't do that. And now we know that something bad is going to happen. We know.
Absolutely.
Because why is he trying to help? He only ever tries to help when he's trying to sabotage. But yeah, Erebin is like, actually, Celaena, twist of events, I love you, and I want you to stay in the guild. And she's like, fuck off, old man. It's fucked. But anyway, Sam gets back. Thank God. She kicks Erebin out. Kicks the old man out. He fucks off. Her and Sam go out to the pub for dinner, and she asks him to tell her his biggest secret. And he says that his biggest secret was loving her. And she says that hers is that she is a coward. And Sam tells her that he sometimes gets afraid too. But when he does, he says this saying, "My name is Sam Cortland, and I will not be afraid."
Not okay. I'm so unwell, in fact.
No.
No.
It's just an immediate no.
So that's awesome, great, and beautiful, and no one's crying here. So Celaena and Sam end up following Farron again, and this time it's to the vaults, which is like
Sick.
pit. They are like blending into the crowds, and Farron takes someone down to this cellar type thing, and you can hear the screams. So it's basically a torture chamber. And Celaena knows that this kind of torture is fucking terrible, which that's terrible that she knows that at 17 or 16 or however old she is. So that's good. They leave and basically have like a breakdown about being bad people, but they know that they aren't like that motherfucking crazy psychopath. So that's all right.
They're like, yay, we have boundaries.
Yay, boundaries.
For all the good it will do them.
Oh, God. So Celaena and Sam are planning for like this attack. He tells her that she has to stay home and pack because they leave in 5 days. And she's like, whoa, bro, what the fuck? And he's like, yeah, we're going to the southern continent. Like, let's fucking go. Sam basically says that Erebin came up to him yesterday and told him to ask her about her past. And he said that he doesn't care. He was like, I don't give a shit about your past because when you are ready to tell me, you'll tell me. And that's fine. And that is fucking beautiful.
That's so nice of him.
It's now the next night and Sam is out hunting Farron. It's been a hot minute since he promised he would be home, so she's freaking the fuck out. But promised Sam that he could do this on his own, so she's trying to basically preoccupy herself.
Seems like
Next
a great
chapter.
idea.
Yep, next chapter, Sam still isn't back. So it's like 11 p.m. at this time and she's like, no, I have to go out looking. She can't find him. She ends up going back home. And then it's 2 a.m. and then it's 4 a.m. and then he still hasn't arrived. She ends up falling back asleep, and then when she wakes up, it's dawn. She goes out looking again, and when she gets home, it's around noon. But the door is slightly open. So she's like about to like cry of relief and like punch Sam in the face because she's like, you've just like fucking made me so worried. But
I was worried you were dead.
Unfortunately, it is not Sam. It is, in fact, Erebin, and all he says when she sees him is, I'm sorry. So she is basically, the next chapter, she is in tunnel vision. She grabs the clock that's on the mantle and throws it at the wall, and Erebin basically explains that they thought that Sam still lived at the guild, so they ended up leaving his body there as a message. She tells Erebin to take her to the body, because she doesn't believe him, basically, which is fair enough because he's a fucking compulsive liar.
Yeah, that's fair.
He tells her that he doesn't think that's a good idea, but she's like, I don't give a flying fuck what you think, old cunt. Take me there. Oh, God. Sorry.
Look, it's accurate.
Georgia's emotions are just getting the better of her right now.
Literally. So, yeah, they arrive at the guild. And they walk towards this, like, morgue, basically, that they have there, or, like, where they keep the bodies. And we get this traumatic quote. So just hold on to your fucking bonnets here, people. Oh,
Where's my bonnet?
Oh, dear God.
Okay. We've all got our bonnets on. Each step brought her closer to the body on the table. She didn't know where to look first. At the fingers that went the wrong way. Burns and careful deep slices in his flesh. At the face. The face she still knew, even when so many things had been done to destroy it beyond recognition. This was some dream, or she had gone to hell after all, because she couldn't exist in a world where this had been done to him. While she paced like an idiot all night, while he suffered, while Farron tortured him, while he ripped out his eyes and Celaena vomited on the floor. He was dead. Sam was dead.
I'm not okay.
I'm not emerging.
Look, this is arguably one of the most traumatic death scenes I've ever read.
And you think he's a young boy. Like, he's not
17.
even...
Yeah.
He's not even a grown man. He's been tortured like this.
And it's not even like there are other books where people lose the people they love. It's not even that. It is like she gets on the table with
his body. Yeah. She refuses to leave, obviously. She basically puts her cloak over him and lays on the table next to him. And she's like, I'm not fucking leaving. It's literally the Wolf of Wall Street. I ain't fucking leaving.
Oh my God.
But we get this quote. She didn't want to go out into a world where he didn't exist. So she watched the light shift and change and let the world pass by without her.
That's just fucking traumatic.
If that isn't an accurate depiction of what grief is, then fuck.
Yeah. She has basically ended up staying at the guild, and she ends up overhearing Erebin and some other assassins talking about taking revenge on Farron and Jane. And this just, again, giant red flag. You're living with a bunch of assassins. You think that they would let you hear something that they didn't want you to hear?
Yeah.
No.
But she's so blinded by grief.
So blinded by grief and rage and absolute pure bloodlust that she is like, not on my watch, that's my fucking kill, you cunts. They obviously stripped her of all of her weapons when she came in, and her clothes, so she's basically only wearing like a tunic and pants with her cloak, so no armor or anything like that. When she goes to escape from the guild to obviously go and take out her revenge quest, Wesley is there.
Of course.
And he's like, stop, it's Ola. And then she knocks him out. Like, come on, Celaena. He was trying to tell you something. In her defense, her brain is in fact dead. She's grieving. She's just
there's no
running
logic
on pure
there.
adrenaline right now. So she is like running through the streets like a shadow. She runs and climbs onto a nearby roof and then makes like this huge giant leap to get through the second story window of Jane's house.
FYI, do you remember when she did that in Crown of Midnight to save Kale?
Don't.
Yeah.
She loved Kale, not the same, but she thought she could love him that much.
Yeah. Well, that was wrong.
No. She was wrong. She, in fact, did not, in my opinion.
Also, very sorry to anyone that decides to listen to these episodes, like, in their own order. Like, say, for example, if they start with Assassin's Blade.
Look, that's on them.
That's on you.
Them.
It is on you. Yeah. So, next minute, we find out that it was indeed all a trick. They are in a meeting room. Farron and Jane are there, and Jane looks shocked as Celaena takes down so many guards. Like, I'm talking so many guards. She takes them down all on her own. Fuck it up, sis. She throws a dagger and it hits Jane, who dies. And Farron is just smiling at her like a fucking freak.
Seems like a great turn of events.
Yeah, awesome. And like next minute, guards with face masks come in because again, COVID. And then there's this like gas stuff that's emitted into the air, and she ends up blacking out, which is, you know, just screaming like positive vibes. It's all going to plan.
So much positive vibes.
So she ends up waking up to the sound of Farron's voice saying, no one is to touch her. Apparently, he made a bargain with someone, kill Sam. She goes crazy. She gets captured. And then they hand her over to the king. So his plan was for her to kill Jane so that he could take his place. And it's like, who did this? Who is that? Oh my God. No, it could never be Arabin. No.
No, he's her daddy, kind of.
Yeah, of course. Next chapter, Celaena wakes up in the royal dungeons. It's been over a day and Erebin hasn't come to save her, and we, of course, are not shocked by this. She also, at this point, doesn't want to be saved. Her trial is happening soon, and she hears the guards blabbering while she's in and out of consciousness, and she's like, whatever, I don't give a fuck. And then we jump from there, and Celaena is basically brought to a room inside the glass castle. The king is there, and it's basically her trial. They read out her charges and like every single death she has ever made. And he asks her if she has any final wishes before he announces her sentence. And she basically says for him to make it quick. And he's like, well, actually, no. And then sentence her to 9 lives worth of labor in the Endovia slave mines. So, big circle back here. She ends up being taken away. And then we flash to a scene with Farron and Arabin watching her get taken away in the wagon. They were working together, of course, no one is shocked. And when Farron asks why he did what he did, Arabin is like, I don't like sharing my belongings.
Dear God.
That fucking cunt. So yes, Celaena is obviously traveling in the wagon, and she has been doing so for 2 long weeks. When they've stopped for a moment, and she looks out the little window in the wagon and sees a white stag, the white stag of Terrasen. And she remembers how she told Ansel when they were staring at the stars, she told her about the constellation of the Lord of the North, and that it was a symbol so that anyone from Terrasen could find their way back home.
Oh my God.
So we end the book with Celaena arriving at the salt mines, and she can hear the screaming of the slaves as they are being whipped, as they are being punished. And she decides that she won't let this break her. And she will tuck Sam away in her heart and will one day find out who did this to them. And when she looked out the wagon window once again, she says, "My name is Celaena Sardothian, and I will not be afraid."
No.
Dear God.
How much trauma in the end of one book can we have?
I'm not
That's
okay.
just...
And, like, the reason I like reading this book in this spot is because if this was your first book, I don't know that it's enough to hook you in. Like, this on its own,
True.
I don't know that it's enough to keep you. But when you've been through 3 books and you're invested and you've got all these breadcrumbs of her backstory, you're like, I want more. So then you get this. And then going forward, you're also getting the backstory and the context you need for future things as well. So that's my argument. Take it or leave it.
It was good. It was necessary. But I'm very excited for Queen of Shadows.
So,
Very
like,
excited.
we read this, and in this book, she's leaving, going to Endovia, and then we pick up from Throne of Glass. When we're picking up next, we're reading Queen of Shadows, and she's coming back to Rifthold, and she's settling debts. But yeah, so super excited to get Ellie's point of view on Queen of Shadows.
I'm so excited. Also terrified. So we do have a music reference this week, and I feel like we need to go back to our Taylor Swift roots, because that's where we started our SJM journey back in the day with our ACOTAR references. So
We did
a collaborative effort tonight, and we all feel that the T Swift song Fearless just embodies that first love relationship between Sam and Celaena. If you would indulge me, I do have a few quotes. "I don't know how it gets better than this. You take my hand and drag me headfirst fearless. And I don't know why, but I dance with you in a storm in my best dress." Beautiful, beautiful. And then this. "Well, you stood there with me in the doorway. My hands shake. I'm not usually this way. But you pull me in and I'm a little more brave. It's the first kiss. It's flawless. It's really something. It's fearless. And I will not be afraid." Remember? Afraid. They're not afraid.
I will not be
fearless.
afraid.
I will not be afraid.
Guys.
It's fine. I love feeling this pain.
Yeah. Give me some fan art. Take my mind off of it.
So to start off with, I have gonzalom.art, and they have done a Sam and Celaena artwork where you've got like them in their black suits in an alleyway giving badass vibes. Then we have Alice Marie Power, which is Celaena looking at the glass castle. And then we've got Melon Drawers, which is Sam and Celaena in their suits sitting on a rooftop in Rifthold. So there's some really cute, nice fan arts that are just, you know, casual.
I have a cute one.
Yeah.
Do you?
Are you sure?
Yeah. So there's one that I've got which basically is by cree.art.live or live, I don't fucking know. And it's basically Sam and Celaena looking up, and there's like constellations. There's like the constellation of the White Stag, the Lord of the North, above them. And also in the stars next to it, it says, "My name is Celaena Sardothian and I will not be afraid." It's really fucking beautiful. And then obviously I've got some really traumatic ones too. So I'll start off with the least traumatic one, which is there's like a number of slides by this artist, and it's Paint Fairy, and it's basically Aelin and Arabin all through their time together.
Jesus.
Yeah, it's very traumatic. And then we've got the most traumatic ones of them all. So we've got Mad Schofield. If you know, you know. Celaena over Sam's body.
No.
And
where he's
this is one where he's got like a little lattice work carved into his chest and like a Joker grin.
is like missing fingers. One of his fingers is like
Oh, fuck, I
bent
hadn't even
backwards.
noticed the fingers. Oh, my God.
No.
Missing a
She's, like,
nipple.
holding him. Oh.
He is. He's missing a nip.
Oh.
So that's traumatic. And then we've also got one of my favorite artists that I have just come to really love is Snow Rocks. They have done one which is a similar vibe. Celaena is standing over Sam's body. You see all of his glory, and you see Arabin standing in the doorway behind her as well.
Jesus.
So take that with your cup of tea. It's time to go to bed.
Thank you so much for tuning in for another episode of A Book and a Bev. That was the Assassin's Blade. I mean, you know that. You've been here the whole time, so that's fine. Next up, we are doing Queen of Shadows. And after that, for those that want to get ahead, we will be doing Empire of Storms.
Ooh.
Yes.
What we're going to do in reading order is Queen of Shadows, then Empire of Storms, and then Tower of Dawn. We are not psychopaths, and we are not doing a tandem read.
No.
Our schedules do not allow for that, and I am going to be an asshole and force these girls to read the series how I read it. If you want to fight me, I will fight you. So please remember to listen on Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts, which, again, you've obviously found us, so you're already doing it. Otherwise, you can watch the video of this on YouTube. Please remember to follow us on TikTok and Instagram. We are at A Book and a Bev. We would really appreciate you guys interacting with us on those platforms, and please remember to rate, follow, subscribe, all of that nonsense. Otherwise,
We're almost at 1,000 followers on
we
TikTok.
are! It's very exciting. And if you guys, again, if you want us to read any particular books or if you have any particular fan art, please send it through. And otherwise, we will see you next week. Bye!
Bye, guys.
Bye.